Hey everyone, Duke here, and welcome to my complete guide to the King's Fall raid. This video will go over strategies, weapons, and more for each encounter in the raid. Starting with the opening encounter, our goal here is going to be to take the 2 orbs that will be present in 6 different locations and dunk them into the statues within a few seconds of each other. You will have a limited time to do this for each set of orbs, and they will get progressively further away from the center each time you get a successful dunk. I like to split the teams 2, 2, and 2 here, with 2 staying in the center to clear adds and open up the doors on either side. The other groups of 2 will go left and right respectively, with 1 person to pick up the orbs, and the other person to clear the way of adds as well as open the further doors for the runner. I would also recommend having your runners communicate with each other when they're going to pick up the orbs, because there is a limited amount of time you will have from grabbing an orb to get to the center, which will be pretty tight, especially on the furthest orbs. Do note that there seems to be a mechanic, or potentially just a bug, where if you do fail to dunk the orbs in time on a given round, you will get approximately double the time on your next attempt, which makes it significantly easier. Also note that there's no res tokens in this entire area, so it's a low stress environment to get your raid juices flowing, so to speak. Honestly, just about any weapons can work here, but some of my favorites are Xenophage, Galahorn, and Forbearance with Chain Reaction. After repeating this process for all 6 rounds of simultaneous dunks, the portal at the far side of the middle room will open and you'll be able to progress. Also note that the 3 symbols you need for the guaranteed red box secret chest are underneath where this portal is, so make sure to take note of them before progressing. I have a link in the description below to my video showcasing all 9 potential symbols and their locations. After completing your first of 2 large jumping puzzles, you will come to the first true encounter of the raid, Totems. The overall goal of this encounter is to charge the center plate with Death Singer's power until all the glyphs on the door light up, allowing you passage into the next room. In order to do this, you will want to split into 2 groups of 3. One group will be the left team, and one group will be the right team. Both teams will have exactly the same strategy and rotation. One person on each team will grab the brand that spawns as you head down to your respective side, as this brand will protect you from the poison effect that occurs in both of these side rooms. This person will need to stand underneath the totem on their side in order to stop it from burning and eventually exploding, killing your entire team. The next person will start up on the upper platform in the middle room, killing the wizard that comes out of the door quickly to spawn a Brand Claimer Knight. This person will also take out the Knight and pick up the Brand Claimer buff that it drops before heading back down to their respective brand holder in order to be able to take the brand before the timer runs out. The brand holder's timer starts at 30 seconds, but if you do this too slowly and the brand holder's timer hits 0, they will die and you will lose the brand, forcing someone to need to grab it from its original spawn location near the staircase on your side, so you'll want to move quickly. The third person in the rotation will be covering the adds coming out of the middle until the next set of Wizard and Brand Claimer Knights spawn on their side, as they will be the next person to head down to take the brand from their teammate. These rotations will stay the same throughout the encounter. As the brand holder, you will want to kill as many adds as possible, as you will acquire more Death Singer's power based on the amount of enemies that you kill. Regular enemies count as 1, while Knights will give you 3 Death Singer's power per kill. Once your teammate claims the brand from you, you will want to immediately run to the center plate and stand on it until all of your Death Singer's power has been deposited. Then you will kill the next wizard and take in Knights that spawn out of your side's door, making sure to pick up the Brand Claimer buff before heading back down to your teammate to continue the rotation. I personally highly recommend Xenophage for this encounter, as it can one-shot the wizards while also easily taking out all of the knights whether they are close range or further away. There also will be 3 unstoppable ogres that spawn in front of the middle plate throughout this encounter, so having an unstoppable weapon is highly recommended, and I like the shotgun for the current season, but if you're watching this in a future season, your choices will most likely be different, and honestly, any weapon can work here. Devour is an incredibly strong option here, as it's very easy to keep up with the amount of consistent fighting, but pretty much all subclasses could be considered viable in this encounter. Once you've deposited enough Death Singer's power, the encounter will be complete. Our next encounter is the first boss, Warpriest. This encounter is going to have a couple of new mechanics, while also repeating the idea of having an aura that helps us in some way, and having knights to kill in order to pass the aura. Our high-level goal here is pretty simple: find a way to damage the Warpriest and defeat it. To start, split your team into 3 groups of 2, with 2 on the left, 2 in the middle, and 2 on right. By standing on each of the plates on each side, the encounter will start. Remember these plates because they will become crucially important later. For the first bit, all you need to do is slay out all the adds on each side. If your team's hurting for DPS and ammo, someone running Aeons with the sect that gives heavy ammo on finishers can be great for the wizards that come out on the left and right sides. This probably won't be too important when you're on level, but is a good thing to keep in mind for when the master version comes out later. Eventually, one yellow bar knight will spawn on each side. Once all three of these are defeated, the plate phase will begin. You will notice that the middle plate will be glowing, and one person from middle will need to stand on this plate. From here, this person will then need to look at the back of the left and right pillars to see if either one is glowing. This will tell us which plate will be first in the rotation. If neither pillar is glowing, that means that the middle plate is first. Once the first plate is determined, get off the middle plate and then get on the first plate. Yes, even if the middle plate is first, you need to get off of the plate and then get back onto it to start this rotation. Once the first person is on their plate, one of the other two pillars should be glowing on the back for them, so they will need to call out which one it is and have someone from that side stand on their plate next. Then the third plate will need to be stood on, giving that person the aura that will allow you to do damage to the Warpriest as long as you're inside of it. We like to do damage to the right side of middle, as this has a couple of advantages. First, you don't need to worry about the pillar being in your way while doing DPS. And second, it's very close to two of the pillars that you will need to use in order to protect yourself after DPS. No matter where you DPS from though, your aura holder will have a 20-second timer that they will need to count down. During this time, someone on your team will need to find a taken knight and kill it, picking up the brand claimer buff that it drops. They can then come back to the DPS team and claim the aura when the current brand holder is at around 2 seconds, so that they don't die and will also help extend the DPS phase. The second aura holder will then have a 15-second timer. Once again, someone else will need to kill another taken knight that spawns, and bring back the brand claimer buff to steal it before the timer hits 0, extending the damage phase one last time. When the third aura holder's timer hits 0, the damage phase will end and a white mechanic will start. Just make sure to be behind one of the pillars as a team to protect yourself from this mechanic. Do note that you will need to hide behind a different pillar after each damage phase, as the pillar will burn away after it's used for protection. On the same note, make sure that everyone hides behind the same pillar, otherwise multiple pillars will be used in one rotation, causing you to have less phases to kill the Warpriest. One important tip for the Brand Claimer Knight mechanic is that the two knights that spawn will never spawn on the side that first acquired the aura. So for example, if the right plate got on last to start the DPS phase, the knights will spawn left and middle. It is however random which one will spawn first, and the second knight doesn't spawn until the first is killed, so you will need to be ready to potentially kill it on either of the remaining two sides. As for weapons, I'd highly recommend one person on Divinity, with everyone else using linear fusion rifles. If you don't already have a good linear, the Type-In LFR is craftable with triple tap, firing line, and the Vice Stinger origin trait from a super easy quest in the Enclave, and have a video in the description as well that can show you exactly how to get it. I'd also recommend 2 Well of Radiances just for ease of survival and the added damage. Having 2 means you should always have one up when you need one. Tether and the new Arc Hunter super are also great here, as well as Bubble with Helma Saint 14 in case you don't have a well up for that overshield survivability and damage buff. You'll repeat the same process until the Warpriest is defeated. Do note that you have a maximum of 4 phases to kill him, as you have 3 pillars to protect you for after the first 3 DPS phases, and then we'll need to kill him on the 4th. Next, we have another boss encounter, Golgoroth. This encounter is actually pretty simple, but has a number of moving parts. Once again, our high level goal is to figure out how to do damage to Golgoroth in order to take him down. Start the encounter by shooting the orb in the center of the room until it pops, spawning Golgoroth underneath. I like to have 3 people push to the far side of the room on each side to quickly take down all of the adds. They'll be spawning out of basically all of the spawn doors here, and assuming everyone is close to at level, you can easily spawn trap them as they're coming out without being in danger of dying. After all the enemies are defeated, you will want to get ready for the gaze and DPS phase. There will be 2 rotating gaze holders with one on the close left side of the room and the other on the right side bridge. The bridge person will want to get Golgoroth to shoot at them so that the gaze holder on the left can hit Golgoroth on the back to take the gaze. As soon as the gaze gets taken, the 4 DPS players will want to take out the orb above to drop a pool of reclaimed light into Golgoroth's pit. By standing in this pool, you'll be able to do actual damage to Golgoroth. The gaze holder will want to make sure to position Golgoroth to the players in the pool can see his chest crit spot. Also, the gaze holder will need to shoot the Axion darts that are being fired at them in order to keep themselves alive, while also counting down their gaze timer. When the gaze timer gets down to the last few seconds, the other gaze holder will need to shoot Golgoroth in the back to steal the gaze for themselves and reset the gaze timer. A few important notes. First, make sure to never go invisible as a gaze holder. This will break the gaze and immediately end your DPS phase. Second, the DPS team needs to be on the lookout for a debuff called Unstable Light. One person will get this for each pool that is used, and after 6 seconds that person will explode, killing anyone that is near them. Instead, make sure this person goes right next to Golgoroth so that they are A, away from the team, and B, this explosion actually does a good chunk of damage to Golgoroth himself, so it's a win-win. Going back to the flow of the encounter, after the second gaze holder has the gaze, they will need to run back to the raid flag side of the room to position Golgoroth facing the next DPS pool. While this is happening, the DPS team needs to shoot the second orb above to give themselves a new pool of reclaimed light, as the first will have ran out by now. Continue this process for 6 rounds of DPS. Every time the gaze gets passed, shoot the next orb above and go to that orb for DPS, making sure to go to Golgoroth and away from the team if you are the person with unstable light. After all 6 orbs are used, Golgoroth will get tired, which signifies the round is completely over, during which everyone will need to get out of the pool and repeat the ad clearing section from the top. Note that if at any point the gaze is lost early, whether to a gaze holder dying, going invisible, or just not being passed in time, the DPS phase will immediately end and some of the symbols on the Tablet of Rune will light up. One symbol will light up for each DPS pool that is not used, and if all 6 light up at any point of the encounter, it will be a wipe. Therefore, it's really important to use as many of the pools as possible during each DPS phase. As for loadouts here, linears are once again the go-to for DPS, with Well, Bubble, and Tether all being great supers. Machine guns for the gaze holders can make killing the Axion darts a breeze, along with a sniper or arbalist to easily hit the back when taking the gaze. Once Golgoroth has been defeated, enjoy the loot. At this point, we are in the final arena with our first of 2 encounters, the Daughters of Oryx. Our high-level goal here is to steal the aura around one of the daughters in order to protect us from their wipe mechanic, while also allowing us to kill them one by one. To start, you will want to have 3 people on each side of the arena, with 2 people assigned to each of the plates on that side, and a third being a floater that covers either plate when needed. Callouts here are very team-specific, and I'd highly recommend all being on the same page before beginning, as just about any callouts can work, as long as everyone knows what they are. I personally use Oryx left and Oryx right for the far side plates, and spawn left and spawn right for the plates closer to the raid flag. Be careful when preparing for this encounter, as shooting even 1 bullet at all will immediately start it. When ready to start, notice that one plate will have a knight on it and a green glow. Kill this knight and have whoever is assigned to that plate jump on it. At this point, one of the other 5 members of the team will become torn between dimensions randomly and become the runner. They will want to also go to that first glowing plate immediately. Once on the plate, either person needs to call out the plate that has a floating orb in the sky above it, and someone will need to jump on that plate as well, which will create floating platforms for the runner to use in order to go up and grab the orb. Once the orb is grabbed, get off all of the plates as they will start burning and potentially kill you. Someone new will become torn between dimensions and be the second runner. Look for the new plate with a knight that is glowing green, denoting the starting plate for this second round. Have the second runner and a second person get on that plate, and once again call out the plate that has the orb above it, so that that runner can grab this second orb. After the second orb is grabbed, again get off all the plates, and a third person will become torn. Repeat the same process one more time of getting on the glowing plate after killing the knight, and calling out the plate with the orb above it to form the floating bridges. This time the runner will need to pick up the brand claimer buff that will be at the orb, and proceed to steal the aura from one of the daughters. You'll want to steal the aura from the daughter that is shooting at you, aka the one that is not glowing and flaming green. Everyone else will want to stand on the middle ledge across from this daughter, ready to DPS. Bring the aura to the rest of the team in order to fully protect them from all damage, and melt this first daughter. As of the time of making this video, one divinity with Galahorn and other legendary rockets absolutely destroy them, but this will probably be patched in the future. One divinity with linear fusion rifles also works well in case that does indeed get patched. After the damage phase is over, make sure to stay in the aura to protect you from the wipe mechanic, and get ready to repeat the exact same process for the other daughter. Do note that you do not have to one-phase these daughters, but once you kill one of them, you must kill the other one in the next round or it will be a wipe. If you don't one-phase them, you will just have to alternate daughters for each round, again remembering to always grab the aura from the daughter that is shooting. Other than the aforementioned weapons, I'd recommend something longer range to deal with the snipers that spawn on the outskirts of the map, as well as a way to deal with groups of adds that spawn consistently in the middle section of the map. Well, Tether and Bubbles are good here once again, along with add clear supers that can help clear out the piles of adds that will be spawning. Once both daughters have been defeated, you are on to the final boss. The final boss is Oryx, the Taken King. This encounter will take pretty much everything we just learned in the Daughters encounter, but add multiple new mechanics throughout as well. Running up to the orb at the far side of the room will start the encounter and spawn Oryx. To start, slay out the first few sets of adds. Oryx will then move to one of the 4 plates and slam his fist. This will be the first plate to use and jump on. Just make sure to wait until the plate turns green before jumping on, otherwise it will start flaming and you'll need to get off and then back on again. From here, the exact same mechanics as Daughters will come into play. One person will become torn between dimensions and need to go to the first plate. The plate with the orb above it will need to be called out to be stood on second to make the platforms for the runner, and then the orb will be grabbed by the runner. Repeat this process 3 times, just like in Daughters, until the brand claimer is able to be grabbed by the third runner. This time though, instead of grabbing the aura from the daughters that are of course no longer there will be a knight in the middle of the room to take the aura from. Take this aura and kill the knight. In terms of additional mechanics, there will be one ogre that spawns next to each plate as the first runner is running. Make sure to take out all of these ogres for them to leave behind a taken orb that you will need for the damage phase. Whenever you take out one of these ogres, there will also be a Light Eater Knight that spawns across the way on the opposite side of the plate of the bombs that cuts across and tries to eat the bomb. Make sure to kill all these knights as well. Around the time the third runner is finished, you will want to have one person at each of the taken orbs, but not in them. Once you see the message Oryx calls out to the darkness, have each person go into their orb and stay there until their name appears on the bottom left, and then immediately run back to the aura holder who should still be in the middle. You need to make sure to be in this aura when the bombs explode, or they will kill you instantly. After the bombs explode, this will also stagger Oryx, allowing you to do direct damage using your weapons. Once again, linear fusion rifles are outstanding for this, with a divinity being useful for the additional 30% damage everyone gets from it. Having a well or bubble is also very helpful for the 25% damage buff either one will give. After the damage phase is over, you will play one of 2 what I call mini-games. If you see knights start to spawn on each of the plates, that means Oryx will be spawning bombs on each of your team members. Make sure to keep moving in order to avoid these bombs. Going back and forth in the middle or far sides of the map works, as well as just running around each of your plates. Just be sure to make sure everyone is spread out so that you don't kill each other with your bombs. If you're able to kill the knights that spawn while avoiding the bombs, it will immediately stop the bomb phase, but this can be a little bit risky just due to needing to stop and shoot them, so I'd recommend to just outrun the bombs, at least until everyone is much more comfortable with the timing. The other possible minigame will spawn a big taken orb at the Oryx side of the room. Make sure to not touch this orb as it will kill you, but basically all you want to do is kill as many of the adds as possible before they get into the orb, as one player at a time gets teleported into the orb. When you are in the orb, your goal is to defeat the Shade of Oryx. Doing so will teleport you and all of your teammates back out and complete this phase. After either minigame, you will once again start from the top and repeat the process until you reach the final stand indicator at around 25 or 30% of Oryx's health bar. At this point, look towards the side of the room that Oryx first appeared on, as he will be coming back there. There will be 2 ogres, one right and one left of you here. Make sure to take them both down, and assign one person to use these bombs to stagger Oryx. That person should go to the right bomb first, waiting to go in until it says Oryx calls out to the darkness. Again, stay in the bomb till your name pops up, and then get back to everyone else with the aura in the middle. Everyone can stay focused on DPS here, as this bomb is going off and staggering Oryx. If needed, that same person can then make their way to the left side bomb, wait until Oryx calls out to the darkness again, and once again get back to the middle before the bomb explodes, staggering Oryx once more. From here, keep shooting Oryx until he is defeated. Congratulations, you have completed the King's Fall raid. If you need a team to run with, I will be running on my stream all throughout the season at twitch.tv/dukeiscool, so come on by. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.